With Bitcoin successfully printing once and for all both its highest weekly and monthly candle closes in history, Bitcoin then quickly initiated a micro dump, leaving new investors panicking, scared, and shaking uncontrollably. With the sidelined, whiny bears proclaiming, "It's over, we're finished, the top is in." But is this all about to get even worse? Or is it simply a massive trap so big, it'll make you wish you were never bearish at all? With Bitcoin successfully closing very bullish monthly, weekly, and quarterly closes at its highest levels ever, Bitcoin initiated a micro baby dump. But the big question is this dump about to turn into a daddy dump? Or in fact, is something even bigger about to happen? So if you like pumping on in, but you especially like getting dumped on, hit that like, hit that subscribe, get signed up to BINGX or BINGX below if you want to buy Bitcoin or altcoins. Join Tyler S. Crypto News Alerts to earn free BINGX tokens when you simply even just chat in the group. And without any further ado, let's do something bigger than you could ever imagine and jump into these charts where, as you can see on the daily chart for Bitcoin, we've initiated a micro dump. Could this go lower? Absolutely. Bitcoin successfully defended, however, what's most important: the weekly close, the monthly close, and the quarterly close, giving Bitcoin its highest closes ever in history. This is good long-term because over the next few weeks, especially this month, it will give speculators the confidence to be more bullish. But that doesn't mean, as I've been saying for weeks, that doesn't mean that we can't have a pullback here. It doesn't mean we can't have a little itsy-bitsy dumpy-do. In fact, that's not bad at all. In fact, as well, Bitcoin's 21-week moving average is all the way down slightly above 50,000 US dollars. And the last time we got anywhere close to that was back on January 22nd, the big sell the news ETF dump, which again, it wasn't very big, but so far it still remains our biggest dump since these ETFs have been approved, which is still insane to me. The ETFs were approved nearly 3 months ago, and our biggest dump was basically right around the middle of January. We really have not seen a big dump since then. Now, as we head into the halving, well, first of all, there's a lot of discussion where people, for the first time in history, people are now saying, like, it never was the 4-year halvings to begin with, these price pumps. It was always the liquidity cycle, people are saying. So more now than ever, I believe that the 4-year cycle for Bitcoin has come into question. But if that's actually the case, that that's come into question, that also then comes into the question, will we see a pre-halving gigadump or even a halving dump, like a dump at the halving or slightly before or even slightly after the dump? Where if these 4-year cycles are truly coming into question, which, I mean, if you've been in the space for the past 2 months, I'm sure you're seeing this discussion a lot of people saying, no, it actually was never the halving that caused these massive pumps. It was always the liquidity cycles, and there's actually a few different ideas, but all of them are trying to refute the idea that it's actually the 4-year cycles. But anyway, if that's the case, that it's not the 4-year cycle, maybe we won't have a pre-halving dump if this halving is not as significant as people think. My opinion is that I think the halvings are very significant. It's a direct effect on new incoming supply. So I find it very hard to say that the halving is not incredibly influential, even when it comes to short-term price. It has a massive effect on supply, which in turn, whether it's coincidence or not, I guess maybe we'll find out over the next 2 months, or really even the next 2 to 3 weeks, as we're very close. We're now just a few weeks away from the Bitcoin halving. Anyway, the point is, I think that it's come into question now whether or not these halvings are as influential as people have always assumed. And again, historically, they have been, whether it's coincidence or not, they have been timed very perfectly with the beginning of these bull markets. So that's something very big to look at. Now, on the daily chart, we are receiving a little itsy-bitsy dump for Bitcoin today. Again, my opinion on this is that we successfully closed the most important things we could have done: weekly, monthly, quarterly candles in a very bullish spot. So to me, if we get a dump here, hey, the hard battle has already been won. This is insignificant to me. Let's say we dump down $5,000, $10,000 in the next few days, and let's say it gets bought up a couple days after that. So much panicking will be done for no reason, which is like literally what always happens in crypto. People panic at the drop of a hat. And then like 2 days later, they were like, wait, why was I panicking again? We're seeing, I've gotten a lot of comments as expected in just the last 12 hours saying, you know, we're down 1,500, now we're down 2,000, now we're down 3,000 US dollars. People panicking a little bit, which again, zooming out, it's absolutely insane to me why anyone would be panicking when Bitcoin is above or has set new all-time highs before the halving. We are the furthest away from 10K that we've been in the past year and a half. It's crazy to me. Bitcoin still, believe it or not, Bitcoin is still overdue for a pullback in a healthy, constructive manner, meaning that getting a pullback here is still within a very healthy framework. Bitcoin is still very, very bullish, even if we get a pullback here. And before we actually continue with these, I want to highlight just a few things, as always. So Bitcoin remains in heavy accumulation. What that indicates, according to this chart on Glassnode, is that we're seeing Bitcoin is still being accumulated massively, which is not something you see at the tops of bull markets, right? We're also seeing the trend is your friend till the end, and it has not ended. If we look at this, the trend still has been dip buying. You can see each one of these yellow circles is actually right. I guess I'll zoom out. Is actually right where the short-term holder cost basis line is. And for Bitcoin right here, you know, Bitcoin could absolutely still go down a little bit and touch on this level, tag this level. What do you see similar with this structure as previous cycles? The trend hasn't changed yet. You can see where the trend changed in the previous bull market top going into the bear market. You can see even after a massive divergence where you could say, oh, maybe this was the beginning of the bear market, we still then went up for like almost another year, even though it was like a blow off top there and it didn't go much higher for Bitcoin. A lot of altcoins did go much higher. So anyway, the point is, even worst case here, I still think there's even more, like a good amount of room to go up and a lot of time left. And I don't think it's worst case. We also see, we saw a pretty big liquidation of both longs and shorts, as we typically see when we see these massive moves here. And we also see that Bitcoin Munger highlights that while the Bitcoin ETF flows are impressive, the more bullish point to consider is that these numbers are driven by retail and high net worth individuals, which is HNWI. Real money institutions are still in the discussion education phase. When they enter, things will get even crazier, right? We already know that these Bitcoin ETFs have been the most successful ETFs in the history of ETFs, coming from the largest asset manager, CEO, Larry Fink of BlackRock on the planet. There's quite honestly not anyone more qualified to be telling you that, okay? But I did also read somewhere that it's going to take about 3 months after the Bitcoin ETFs were approved for a lot of this actual institutional money to start coming in, which would put us about a week after the Bitcoin halving, or actually a week before the Bitcoin halving, I believe, because the ETFs were approved kind of in the middle of January. 3 months after that would be the middle of April, which is about a week or so before the expected Bitcoin halving, which again could also be a perfect storm of new inflows from even higher net worth accounts and participants than we currently have. It's hard to say exactly who is accounting for most of these Bitcoin spot ETF inflows, whether it is primarily just your average, well, I guess if you're a millionaire, it's not technically average, but maybe multimillionaires that are just switching over from 401ks, in addition to people with a little lower and higher net worths, and also then just massively high net worth individuals, but maybe the true institutions haven't gotten in yet. If true institutions did start getting in and really piled in, Bitcoin would be hundreds of thousands of US dollars. If we're talking actual numbers, if you actually crunch the math, Bitcoin would be hundreds of thousands of US dollars per Bitcoin if even the smallest percent of all of these massive institutions did dip their toes into Bitcoin. So, I mean, and you know there's a lot of opportunity left where there's a lot of upside that's possible in this market. But I do understand that, and I need you to understand as well, that we could still see a pullback here. I've been saying short term, I have no idea what's going to happen. Nobody on the planet does. 58,000 still remains a pretty concrete, massive level that we haven't quite retested yet. 58, the lowest I think we got was right about 60. I don't even think we got below 60 yet. I don't think on that recent pullback we had in the middle of March, I don't think we got below 60. If I actually look right here, yeah, we didn't get below 60. But I personally think there is going to be a big move soon. The Bollinger Bands are indicating to us that there is going to be a big move, a volatile swing. The last time we had a really volatile swing was actually back at the beginning of, well, the last week or so of February, beginning of March. So it's been about over a month since we've had a big swing in the price. We had the recovery after the dump in the middle of March, but we haven't seen a big swing. The BBW indicator, quite beautiful indicator, big, beautiful indicator, if you know what I mean. This is indicating to us that we're potentially going to see a big swing. We see that the Bollinger Bands are very tight. And yeah, I think that does indicate that a big swing is very likely. But we're seeing the stock market actually down a little bit today. It's down. It was down, I believe, about 0.5%. The DXY is ripping, actually, and that is a big factor. The DXY is right now kind of retesting the highs from the beginning of February this year, puts it basically the highest it's been since November of 2023. So the DXY is rallying, and what is the reason for this? Well, it's most likely because Fed rate cuts might not come as soon or as aggressive as people initially thought at the beginning of this year, just 2 or 3 months ago. So overall, rate cuts are still coming, but in the short term, it absolutely breathes more life into the DXY. I believe even like even the Japanese yen hit its lowest level compared to the USD in quite a long time. I think I have this ticker somewhere, but I know the yen is like even less valuable than it was last year. The yen is like the least valuable against the US dollar it's been in a long time. So basically, if you're planning a trip to Japan, this is a really good time to go. If you convert some of your money to yen, I mean, your money will be way more valuable than it has been probably in decades, I believe, compared to the Japanese yen. But yeah, with the DXY pumping, the stock market down a little bit, Bitcoin, I'm thankful that Bitcoin was able to get this amazing close, weekly, monthly, and quarterly close. That's very important for the long term. In the short term, though, Bitcoin could still initiate a little bit of a downside dumpy. On the daily chart, we're right now holding on the 21-day moving average. The 50 is all the way down around 62, and the 100-day is all the way down around 53,000, which is also where this 21 roughly week moving average is, right around 51. So in my opinion, if we, man, I don't even want to say this because we're so far away from it that it's kind of just, it's silly. Like worst case scenario, if we get a crash, I think the lowest we could go is a little above 50,000. But you understand it's going to be, in my opinion, the best buying opportunity you'll get before we initiate a big bust. And I just absolutely am not convinced that we're going to get that. It's possible, but if you would ask me, do I think we're going to crash down to 50,000? My opinion would be no. I could be wrong. It's possible. It's realistic. It's in the charts. That's something that could happen. I just personally think that, yeah, no. I mean, look at this weekly chart. I honestly feel kind of dumb for even saying that. Look at this weekly chart. We are down the tiniest little amount. And I'm already saying, hey, I mean, we could retest this level here. Worst case, if we get a crash for the next 2 weeks. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Bitcoin so far has proven itself to be so bullish that, first of all, if we would actually get a crazy dump like that, it would be the long opportunity of a century. I just don't think we're going to be blessed with that beautiful of an opportunity, right? Where some people might be looking at that and thinking Bitcoin's dead again. Myself and most of you would be looking at that thinking this is the best opportunity I'm going to get for the rest of this bull market to go long, to accumulate my final bags before liftoff and beyond. And as I said, I personally just don't think we're going to be blessed to get that big of a dump. I would think of that dump as an ultimate blessing. Again, I would fill up whatever little itty bitty bags I have left that I want to fill with my piggy bank, but I just, I don't think that, I don't think it's realistic that we would get that big of a dump. We still could get a dump. I just don't think we would go that low. Maybe a retest of 60,000 again is a more realistic if we get a dump. But honestly, the fact that I'm spending more than a couple minutes talking about a dump, I personally find a little silly because by Wednesday of this week, I could see us already also just shattering back above 70 and giving another attempt at all-time highs, if we're being realistic. But we do have to understand, typically, and a lot of people have this mindset, with this close to the halving, people are anticipating we get some sort of downside move. And if we look at it also realistically over the last couple of weeks, we now have put in a lower high, right? We had this higher high here, which is our all-time high. And then we have this lower high where if we aren't able to squeak out a couple more $1,000 to the upside, that will be cemented as a lower high. But also keep in mind, we have higher lows as well. So overall, the most realistic thing is we're probably just trading within maybe some sort of triangle like this. Maybe some sort of bull flag, maybe some sort of triangle, symmetrical triangle like this, and we might trade in here for another couple weeks, or even just 1 or 2 more weeks, and then before popping to the upside. That's, again, if you've stayed to the end of this video, congrats, because I'm going to share with you what I think is most likely, which is what I just said. But even for that pattern to complete, Bitcoin would actually have to come down more. Bitcoin would have to go down thousands of more dollars, even for a pattern like that to complete. But I'm just trying to give you an idea of what I think is most likely. And overall, it should come as no surprise. The most likely situation long term is giga bullish. And get signed up with BINGX or BINGX below if you want to buy Bitcoin or altcoins. Join my crypto red alerts channel as well to earn free PT. It also is switching to a raffle system today, I believe. Every 8 hours, you have the chance of winning free PT. And without any further ado,